we're going to move on to another round of questions. This one is to do with the topic of zoning. For the candidates, what are your views on the proposed Central Town Park? Who's that? Starts with Mr.
The town park.
There were only 4 questions submitted in this whole category of zoning. So if anybody has any questions about zoning, get them to us. We gave a little more time to the previous topic, and we're going to give the same additional time to the third topic.
The drilling issue.
So, but we put, without this question, we're down to 3 questions.
Okay, with regard to the town park, I'm interested in going to the meeting on Thursday night. There was a nice little picture in the paper, a nice write-up about it on the headline, the front page. Thanks, Bruce. You know, I'm concerned fundamentally about centralizing our, sort of that type of approach. And I'm concerned about what that means for a little community like Varna. What are the implications? If, in fact, if we had any money to put into it, which we don't, but if we did have the money to build it, and we did build it there, is that going to naturally siphon away money from some of the communities that are scattered around the town? We got to remember, we're a big town. We're about 96 square miles. That's a lot of area. And so I think that I'm not sure that it's wise to centralize sort of that in that way. But I want to hear what they have to say.
So it's a little bit exaggerated to say this is a plan. This is a very early conceptual idea, and I look forward to seeing you all at the discussion of it. A lot of thought has gone into this. The comprehensive plan talked about having a central recreation facility as well as 8 or 10 neighborhood recreational facilities. What we lack at the moment most, according to the recreation director, is our own ball fields. We're running into increasing conflicts with trying to schedule youth sports with the schools because their facilities are fully occupied with their own programs. What we're looking at on paper now is a ball field, some walking trails, some a small building for indoor events and so forth. It has been discussed in the comprehensive plan, and we're going to continue to discuss it with the community to see if you think that this is still what you want.
I have 6 grandchildren that live in the town of Dryden, so I'm all for activities and events that include them and allow them to spend time in the town, keep them busy. Active kids are happy kids. I am concerned about something that's way over on the other side of Dryden, kind of not central. I would be much more inclined to support something that was more central. And I also am concerned that putting something like that together will pull from other areas, Varna, Ellis Hollow, Etna. I mean, there's lots of little communities around here, and it's important that we support them all.
Hi. Well, I guess I am a newcomer to this question. I've looked at it a little bit, and I don't think there's any done deal about this. It sounds like a lovely possible conception of what to do, and I have noticed from attending town board meetings that this does appear to be a democracy, and people can turn out and say what they're thinking. Marianne has not done some strange, bizarre thing, nor has the rest of the board with her. They have simply said this is a possible idea out there that might be interesting. It is clear that recreation should be a very high priority. We are living in desperate times in many ways economically, and while we may not be able to afford to take our children to Disney World this year, we can take them canoeing in our waterways if we keep them clean, and we can go biking if we don't have roads impacted with fracking trucks, and we can go out on hiking trails. That's what I would like us to be doing.
Okay, also more on zoning. It appears that many of the goals proposed in the comprehensive plan have not been included in the new zoning plan, such as affordable housing, senior housing, higher density nodes, directing development away from agricultural areas. Do you believe the new zoning draft is complete, or should these goals be added before it becomes law?
I feel so useful here.
I'm sorry, you mentioned a few specific points there, higher density, senior housing?
Affordable housing, senior housing, higher density, and directing development away from prime agricultural areas.
Yeah. Senior housing is not an issue. Let's throw that one out. I mean, it's not that it's not an issue. It's not a zoning issue. The new zoning is specifically geared to address issues in the comprehensive plan, including development in already developed areas. We're calling it nodal development sometimes. That's clearly encouraged in the proposed new zoning. I'm at a loss to say what in the comprehensive plan we're not addressing yet. Is this the final zoning plan of our lives? No. This addresses some really important issues, particularly conservation, open space, the opportunity that developers have asked us for years to make it possible to build houses closer together in order to preserve open space. If you have 100 acres, you want to build 10 houses, you don't have to give them each 10-acre lots. You can build them closer together in the proposed zoning and preserve the remaining 90 acres or whatever for open space. That was the most critical aspect of the zoning of the comprehensive plan. Now the new zoning.
I think the zoning proposal as it's currently constructed is quite lacking in fulfilling the vision of the comprehensive plan, which I would say I very much support. In general, I think that was a good vision. But we spent $215,000 on an outside consultant. We spent $22,000 on the town attorney to review the document. So we've spent $237,000, and quite honestly, we got a zoning proposal that absolutely misses the mark. It eliminates any areas for multifamily housing, just takes them out. It doesn't fundamentally change the development pattern of basically going out into the country and putting a house down the countryside. And it doesn't because it doesn't. One of the big parts of this plan was to get the density close into the villages, the nodes, and the hamlets, to encourage the building of walkable, bikeable communities, which I absolutely support, and it doesn't do it.
Repeat the question again, please.
Okay, it appears that many of the goals proposed in the comprehensive plan have not been included in the new zoning plan, such as senior housing, affordable housing, density nodes, and moving development away from productive agricultural land. Do you believe the new zoning draft is complete, or should these goals be added before it becomes law?
I think the new zoning is complete, and it does reflect the 2005 comprehension plan. We just look at this a little bit, take a step back. The zoning was first established 40 years ago, and it's been updated piece by piece by piece. Here we're taking a giant step forward and following the recommendation of our comprehensive plan and updating the zoning. Hopefully, in future boards, they will find it necessary to update the comprehensive plan, and then they will have guidelines to update the zoning. This zoning is not etched in stone. It is merely a byproduct of our comprehensive plan. As per affordable housing, senior housing, and such, that is totally dependent upon the established infrastructure. And where that is mainly in the village and maybe in Varna. That makes building of those facilities affordable. We've tried to extend the Cortland Road Water District with the town, or with the village, excuse me, but they refuse to cooperate with us.
I'm going to take a minute here on this. Yesterday's Ithaca Journal had a guest column, and it was by Joe LaQuatra, and he stated, although I was a decent man, I was wrong on the zoning, and that I was opposed to updating the zoning. And that is simply not true. I do think that updating the zoning is necessary. I just simply do not support what's being proposed as currently constructed, and it needs to be modified. It is overly burdensome, overly regulatory, and it is going to mean that you're going to have to come in for a special permit for a lot of things which that are simply routine, that we do every day, that don't cause problems. We need to have regulations that deal with the things that we know are going to be problems. And there are lots of areas that we know are going to be a problem. And we got to go after those. But we got to remove the heavy hand as much as we can in the other areas.
Okay. Let's see. I'll start off by just saying that. Am I just passing this along? I think you're passing. Oh, I'm sorry.
Good try, though.
We're all friends here. Okay, one last question on zoning. How will the proposed zoning plan welcome and encourage low-impact industries to locate in Dryden? Yes. How will the proposed zoning plan welcome and encourage low-impact industries to locate in Dryden?
One of the early phases of this project involved developing residential and commercial guidelines. We invited a group of developers in to review what we were looking at, what we had developed in terms of the kinds of industries that are, or commercial enterprises that are appropriate in different neighborhoods, the kinds of designs, the way the buildings can be designed, the way the parking can be placed to minimize road cuts, to minimize traffic conflicts, and the developers that were at this meeting embraced this design, saying that this would really help them to know what kinds of plans to bring to the table, so they wouldn't get embroiled in ages-long discussions of, in details of special use permits. That knowing in advance exactly what we were looking for in different neighborhoods was what they were looking forward to. I think it'll be an extremely strong tool in attracting industry and commerce.
Low impact industry, I guess. One of the things I would say is there's lots of ways, we were talking about the budget, but there's lots of ways to increase revenues to the town. Increasing the tax rate is only one of them. Increasing the tax base is where we got to be focused. And that's why the zoning has to be set up so that it really says, we want you to come in here. We want employers to move into the town. We want some modest growth in the town. We want some retail. Approximately $1.8 million a year comes into the town through our share of the sales tax. If we can get some more businesses in town, hey, we got more money coming in. We can do something about the deficit. That's the balance that we got to seek. And it really boils down to attitude that we project out to the public.
There's an elephant in the middle of this room, and that elephant is fracking. I find it hard to imagine that we're going to attract anything to the town of Dryden once it is overwhelmed by fracking, as Bruno and his side would plan to do. The tax base comes from the fact that Dryden is worth $1 billion. We could have had a birthday party recently when we turned that $1 billion mark. Of that, $750 million, that's billion with a B, dollars, are our homes. And our homes will lose their value. They have lost value in Texas. They have lost value in Pennsylvania. They will lose value. And so whatever it is that Bruno is grasping at that might bring us added revenues, it will be vastly offset by the losses in the value of your house and your house and your house. $750 million, averaging about $170,000 a house.